revelator of the 9 p.m. set, and y'all, it's the time we've all been waiting for, honey. Are y'all ready for K. Gabriel to get up on this mic?
Thank you so much, Tyler. Thank you all. It's Freak Hour. It's the only one. It's Freak Hour at the Sex Project. Oh, it's fucking nuts. It's like, actually, like, I thanked you guys for staying, but actually you should thank us for putting on a lineup so contagious. You're welcome. Speaking of serving cunt, our next reader is Sarah Nicole Prickett, who is a writer and editor and a member of Writers Against the War on Gaza. Please welcome Sarah.
Hello, thank you for having me. Is this close enough? Okay. No time again this year to become a poet, so this is a speech, more like. July 6, 2023, the first 911 call came at 1:20 p.m. According to the caller, a young man, white, early to mid-20s, had taken off all his clothes on the observation deck at Table Rock at Niagara Falls, and now he was climbing the railings, peering over, and looking for. At 1:22 p.m., the young man's sister texted him to ask, "Are you alive?" There was no phone, however, in the backpack, which was all he had with him. At 1:32 p.m., the second call came. Okay, look. It's not a poem, so you actually have to look up to the ceiling, from the ceiling to the floor, 3 times as high as that, at least. He fell. The young man, who did, of course, jump naked, fell is not the word. If you can fly downward, then he did. The water hit the rocks below with 280 tons of force. He disappeared. None of this, by the way, is incredible. What is incredible is that he survived, technically. When the autopsy of his body was completed the following month, it was revealed that the cause of death was not, as you might imagine, blunt force trauma, but drowning. That was my brother. What can I say except the first thing I thought when I heard, good for him. Good for him. Not good for me. On account of I finally knew how he felt. I looked in the mirror and could not believe I looked like before. I looked again and I didn't. Death is what I looked like and felt like, smelled like. I could not believe my friends were going to restaurants. What were they doing? Sitting there? Talking about their days? And I will admit, contradictorily, I also could not believe they were going to restaurants without me. People brought food when I was in bed. They were nice when I was sad, when I cried, but honestly not that much when I kept it together. But when I was disconsolate, in a way that scanned as ungrateful, when I had needs so bad they sounded like demands, and especially when I was angry, then I saw turning away like never. It was like this change in a sky before a thunderstorm. The table cleared, the world divided. Some of the people who turned away had been the closest, which was hard to understand and harder to forgive. Some people who had been further now turned toward. Why? Because they knew death, what it was, because they knew life. And there are always the people who stay where they are, who are called steadfast. Ashes under my fingernails and tongue, driving to the ocean again. Where was he? A part of everything living if you wait long enough, but how? I keep going on, I'm sorry. I want to say, do you know how many pictures I look at every day of dead young men? I am so afraid I will miss one. Do you know the pictures I mean? Do you know why they fight and how? There is nothing I believe in more now than the right of these young men to not just die, but also kill. Do you know what I am saying? And what are you thinking? Is this bitch really weaponizing her grief over her brother's death to justify her unconditional support for the Palestinian right to resist? Yes, bitch. Weaponize everything. The world could not stop for one I knew even then, but for 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, a martyr is someone dying when they are most living. May I be alive when I die. A famous analyst said that. Prayer for us all. If you want to live, then it is your duty to turn now, to turn toward and look death in the face. All empires fall. It's time. To you who is not here, I'm sorry. To you here, I know that what we are being asked to do, we are also being told is impossible, but it is not. We each have something given to us. Pain, we believe, is special. Sorrow, grief, which it is ungenerous to swallow or otherwise keep to ourselves. Go into the wound, into the gut, take out the thing, weigh it in the palm of your hand.
I love you, Sarah Nicole Prickett. I really, really do. And you guys are going to tell your friends who left early that they missed a time. Joe Barchi, our next reader, is a poet and editor living in Chicago. Please welcome Joe.
Hi. Thank you so much, 2K, for asking me to read here. Happy New Year. This is the honor of a lifetime to get to read at the Poetry Project on New Year's Day, and it is especially the honor of a lifetime to get to be a part of any arts organization that unequivocally supports the Palestinian cause. Yeah, fuck yeah. I'm gonna read from a manuscript that I finished earlier last year. Composed of one overheard sentence said aloud a day that I kind of stole from Bernadette Mayer and Alice Notley and a bunch of other people. It's called Sentences. I don't know if I like what's going on between you two. Remind me what conceptual poetry is again? You don't break up, you just lose your turn. I really love that word, emulate. I keep finding myself wanting to agree with everything you say. Every day, I'm stealing from Peter to pay Paul. Don't knock drunk guys in bars. It means they aren't driving. Bargaining is a stage of grief, Joe, says the man with the $50,000 piece of wallpaper. I don't remember what that's from. I gotta be completely honest with you. God doesn't give. He is hot, though. I like to think you killed a man. It's the romantic in me. God, that's so like Margaret. How are your children doing these days, Catherine? Homosexuality is such a here's looking at you, kid. My husband hates me. I'm trying to get him to chase me around the bedroom. I'm sober as a judge, I swear, freak bitch. David is such a little sensitive bullshit. The whole boatload of, I thought you were my dead husband. I've never used the word mutton in my life. No one told me that the tulip's still taken to task for his crimes against the gay community. Being gay is just like being on television, or the one where everyone fucks cars. It's actually a big white truck, real dad shit. Babe, we're all doing a group suicide. Don't let it spill. Listen, smart mouth, in this family we do not solve our problems. No, It's something we're all intimately involved in. It's easy, you just call your dad. Ow, fuck. I jerked off for 10 hours in a row watching your paint dry. You do have a trajectory, and careful. Ugh. Confide in me. You meant to do me harm in those threadbare cutoffs. I am telling you that you went full wife brain. On this Pride Sunday, this religious holiday, how many bullets do you think it would take to deal with the Supreme Court? Everyone was just dying. Everyone was dying and you were buying, you know what's at the top of my list? Have I told you some of the stories of my life? It came into my head out of nowhere. Mutton. Reality's a line where, by hitting people. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Extraordinary. Our next reader is Tillman Alexander Goldsboro. Born Richmond, Virginia, USA, April 1991, poet. He lives in Brooklyn, New York. Please welcome Tillman.
Every time. What's up? All right. 23 experiments number XX, slapstick 1, or Pilsner Urkel, nigga articulate, wakes up mad and had to let the people at his white friend church know. Situation. Man in clothes wearing overgrown thin mustache, calmly approaches pulpit, ad-libs a statement, opens pages, finds place, continues rant lecture. Just so y'all know, I stepped in human piss and tracked that mess inside. I saw it and almost missed it for politeness. Then I remembered that desire to preserve white sense of safety and comfort is a betrayal unto self, implicit cosign of zero-sum exclusion. But still, I guess that's not cool, cause, god damn, cause it's not cute to act out. Cross-arm pout stomp and cross-arm pout stomp and withdraw. Be oppositionally defiant adult. Let feelings determine actions. Get taken over, taken away by a crushing overwhelm. Can't tell where it come from, inner or outer, me or thee. Pushed into panic, rush consideration leads to none, fat null. While striking out with extremity limbs, trying to catch hold of any something to slow slide. Straight down grease shoot, familiar free fall. No promise slowing or soft landing. Panting desperation causes aspirated chemical change. Different scent defined by fear. Fear somebody's reaction? Is this half-step time wasted clout chasing? Desire toward name kept in archive, written word history shared, objective, limping forward, dragging 50-some-year-old corpse, aging horribly, I mean that vainly, injecting blood of beautiful youth, tribute to keep glowing, dull beacon reflecting back country club demographics. Think I want to remain out of reach, removed from broken circle, fragments on floor, dash mask and clay pot behind plexiglass, dead object perusal, then leave, return to life, feel better, more cultured, remain unchanged, don't want to lose power access, key to elite, one wants to stay on top. That perhaps an essentialist claim on human nature. Me? I want love of world, can't say don't know why, walking towards that what spells my destruction, separation of self, seat at table, no seasoning, all raw vegan, no fire touches, Seated couple minutes from largest human cargo market. New York isn't clean, people want to think it's different, forget about segregated schools, everybody in this room complicit, upholds and reifies daily in actions, lifestyle movement, modes and ways of congregation. Can't tap in, signal jammed, blinded by dairy blizzard, cramped guts pouring on ceramic, stuck in knots, unable to move forward, stand up, see brown eye beauty, dark skin reflection. Just grip a icy hot palpitation in chest, some like a hug punch, and laid up on ground, cold earth, face and rest of universe, all creation, living, breathing, time elastic and animate, come online, baby's first breath, this free man, prey oriented towards the borders, draped all black, all white, crying, laughing, bathe in gray water, no cotton cloth, nor soap below knees. Bless the martyrs, pray for the resistance and the occupation, free Palestine. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tillman. Our next reader is Rainer Diana Hamilton, who is, yes please, who is the author of The Awful Truth and God Was Right.
Thank you, Kay. This is from Taste Lilac. Smell returned today, Bianca, outside a bodega of bacon frying. Cruel that I could sense these burning pigs, but not the flowers lining our gravel to the gas station. Bolder syringas than those waiting in Rochester after Magnolia stole their show. Singing something from the years connecting our conscious childhoods when taste and friendship and choruses form. Where you told me, pulling onto Pinetum, that you came late to lilacs. They didn't grow in your child mind. Then you gave me nasal alt text. I had wanted to cover the Lilac Festival with loving and hilarious specificity, but the cops restricted the rights of teens to enter unaccompanied, punishment for their having stayed too late for last night's flowers, contorted by prejudice, that concave taste, so what was there to say but fuck them? I could describe instead the soil that opens up to let the whole Scarborough Fair through on the mild rind of a raw Portuguese sheep's milk cheese, consequence of the thistle rennet that acts in lieu of the more common enzymes found in the fourth stomach of nursing ruminants. Lambs, kids, cows, each produce their own digestive aid proper to their special milk, since the stomach is, after all, curdling for the kid's own sake. But what should one know about taste before tasting? Like young pianists who sit for identification exams, disambiguating C-sharp from D-flat major in composition, though they share their notes. Are we supposed to be able to tell peppercorns apart? All tastes are acquired. I wanted to argue in this letter to you, Bianca, against Burke, who brackets off what tastes good only after habit forms from what's naturally shared among men, so long as we can presume their tongues and toes and ears and nose and eyes function alike. So I search the phrase online and find it often goes, all tastes are acquired except the breast. In the acquisition model, there's still this Edenic taste, common to all, before knowledge. We'd still be guzzling at tits, petting cats, admiring the moon, imitating the thrush's song, sniffing rose or whatnot, without differentiation forever, if someone hadn't burned nightshade, coughed, spat, made the meme face of the woman coming around to the sour of kombucha, inhaled, coughed again, and then suddenly found themselves capable of focusing such that, chain smoking near the tree of knowledge, they wrote the first review. If you follow it, you're either trapped in the early Gaga theory of natural taste, born this way as peach eaters, or cast out into the unloved provinces where you know all things are teachable, given a good school, hoping the right missionary finds you in time to make you like sardines, sodomy, the films of Ernst Lubitsch, the friendship of most mammals, spicy food, and long train rides. Merry Christmas. It's not Christmas. I don't know a holiday.
Sardines, sodomy, the breast. What's good? David Velasco is unemployed.
So true. Thanks, Kay, and also thanks, Kyle, for putting together this wonderful night. and inviting me to read, which is not something I really ever do. So that morning, I wake up to find a bird on the floor of the apartment, unmoving, having been brought inside by the cat, as sometimes happens. I assume that it's dead. Do you think Joni secures the birds as offerings, as proof of her understandings of human cruelty? Or is it more like a game she plays with herself? They say that this parasympathetic behavior in cats becomes more pronounced during times of increased stress in the household. Hours later, I notice movement in the fireplace. When I get close, I see the bird is injured but alive, flapping around behind the potted snake plant. I wonder what kind of bird it is, and I text you a picture. It's a sparrow. I think that some periods in life, through their pacing and their ripened symbols, are as overdetermined as a bad short story. It's been tense all day as different people decide what to do with me. I'm on the verge of becoming a cipher for American hysteria. A lawyer thinks I should write an email to buy myself time. A friend thinks I should prepare a statement. I'm crouched in the chimney, trying to position my body between the bird and the cat, when a voice inside me starts saying, "Do nothing," and everything else tunes out as I fixate exclusively on saving the bird's life. Is this what grace looks like, I think? Just following the quietest voice through the swell until you find a clearing, making a liturgy from the materials at hand? I corner the sparrow and scoop it up in some Tupperware and carry it to the roof. I build a nest from paper towels and install the bird in a wicker basket next to some water in a dosing cup. It lies there looking at me, the only movement the rise and fall of its tiny barrel chest. Well, I think I've done literally the least I could do. By the time I returned to my desk, I received the following push notifications. 18 martyred in Khan Yunis. An email from my company with the subject line, "Your employment." News of a rally on Wall Street. I'm sitting on the toilet on FaceTime with you when you ask me if I understand what's really happening, which is that the bird is probably bleeding out internally from its injuries and won't survive. You ask me whether I know what the humane response would be, and I start to cry. And then seeing me cry, you start to cry too. Your tears are humane. What are mine? Don't overthink it, you tell me. The bird is not a metaphor for the futility of human action, not a metaphor for anyone's plight. It is just a situation you hallucinated into a morality play to distract yourself from the procedural theater some goons orchestrated to distract themselves from their crimes. Eventually, the bird dies, not because it's a symbol, but because it isn't. When it was alive, I knew the right thing to do, but instead I extended the bird's suffering, playing it out like our cat did, dragging along that goodbye, goodbye, the one continuous line that binds us to each other, as your friend, the poet, once said. Thank you.
That was beautiful, David. Thank you. Our next reader, Sam Max, is a writer, director, filmmaker, and critic working in New York and Berlin. Please give it up for Sam.
You come from nothing, have nothing, so America assigns you a fake dad. You love your fake dad for a while, like he's real. You love how it's the first time you love anything, but it's complicated. I mean, the guy, the one playing fake dad, he's the one that's complicated. He shows you all kinds of things you're not supposed to see. And the years 2000, and the years 2001, the years 2002 or 3, or is it 4, and it's Christmas. No, it's Christmas and it's 2000, and fake dad takes you down to the safe house by the highway. Fake dad takes you there strapped up in the back of the Saturn. He parks under security camera 1 and it's snowing. You walk through the door under security camera 2. He takes you downstairs. You know the way by now, where you're meant to go. You put your hand on that dark, wet wall. You put your hand toward where the room is that you go. You go to the room where you assume the submerged position, and you stay there. You stay there while fake dad and his friends are doing business upstairs. You don't know what business is yet. On the floor, you play the snake game. This is how you pass the time, or just about. In your hands, there's a plastic thing with a screen in the shape of a rectangle. Inside the rectangle, there's a chain of green pixels in the shape of a snake, and it's moving. This is what it looks like when the snake is moving around, and it's hunting for blinking reds to eat. Whichever it is, you or the snake, you're eating until the tail gets too long. You're eating until all of you get so very long, until you're so long you can hardly fit in the room anymore. But you have to stay there. You have to stay here in the room and don't touch the wall. Don't touch the wall and don't touch yourself. Don't touch your tail or you'll lose. But you can't lose, won't lose. You need to find out if winning lets you leave, if the high score breaks it all open. So you play the snake. You play it with the sound off. You do that because fake dad doesn't want his friends to know you're down here in the submerged position. But you're too young to leave at fake home, so you play in silence. You know how to play the snake in silence, listening to a fake song. The fake song almost drowns out all those boots upstairs. You start to think the fake song can drown out anything, but then the battery dies. You're looking at nothing on the screen. You're 2001 again, not the game anymore, and you're sitting in the dark in the submerged position. Sometimes one of fake dad's friends shines a light through the floorboards. It passes over you, slip of a hand, but it's more than an accident to you. You want to feel there's someone who's come to abduct you at last, take you to the other planet, but no one's coming for you. No one's coming for you, and you're down there and you're playing the snake. You're the snake now. You're getting longer and longer. You're growing a prehistoric tail. You're doing a helix until you can get to the ceiling, the one their feet are on. You want to know what happens in the world of adults, so you press your ear against the perimeter, but in doing so, the game ends. You had 3 lives, but then it was 2, and then it's 1 life, and then you're nothing. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. I'm minded as we get late in this hour to give a shout out to the folks on the live stream. There are like 120 people watching us from everywhere, probably, who are with us in this room, in addition to probably the 300, 400 people who are like still here, which is fucking rad. And thank you also to the folks who have been running the live stream all day. Thank you, Vince. Thank you, everyone. Our next reader is Tess Brown-Lavoie, who is the author of Lightyear. Please give it up for Tess.
Thank you. This is so cool, so many of my obsessions in one room. I changed the poem I'm going to read. This is called Verbosity Separates Me from Pacifism. One authentic movement, ascent obsession, associated sound, flap, whoosh, the word careen, the air conditioner's biomimicry of human vibration, leave my ass up and touch her for a while. The joke is on me, of course. My authentic movement is publicly fondling a dusty machine, greedy for sentience. Winter lacked every music, a warming viria, just my most difficult habits. Dear diary, why restraint? Why not other tongues? 2, romance. New homeboy took me by the wrist, not even knowing last summer I nearly died, and that wasn't even the worst thing about the summer. To prove it, I will report back my eavesdroppings. Blah, blah, human sounds don't make sense. And I like when you get mad at me for lying, for saying I have no friends. 3, fish. What I do have is a book-length manuscript, my favorite lies, packed like salty tinned fish. 4, dead fish. A crow deposited a dead fish at the foot of my student. I am not skilled enough in divination to decipher the omen, but will ask the higher-ups. In the meantime, there is only my urgency to appease a malefic Saturnian bird, as I need to have a better time than I've been having lately, a sorry dad boy with dead fish and a puddle of knotted flesh thanks to venom. So I pulled out tortilla chips and put them on the ground for the lurker, afraid we would both prefer the gift we gave the other, the fish, the chips. I am doing my best. 5, happy anniversary. Anyway, it is summer again, the 1-year anniversary of the worst summer ever. A reader of my poem called me a narcissist, and I decided to change my life, but not my writing, which remains absorbed with self. 6, beach. The highlight of the summer was going to Crane's Beach during a heat wave, where I went as a child with my divorced parents, who saw my strange body and talked to my sister about it later. I stared at the bodies of women, also strange, their screaming children. I swam with the current first, then made an embattled return. The tide took my bathing suit off it. From Colorado, I missed the beach. I don't understand how people can live without a reflective expanse one can hurl it into. 7, beach again. Last time I saw my dad was Christmas. I made him make a joke for me on camera, cheering at the wine dark sea, as though it were the star of a fabulous film. He clapped vigorously and laughed at my stupid premise. I cut recording right before he made my favorite of his laughs. I kicked myself. 8, beach again. I saw him again, but he was almost across. His body was tired to death of chemicals, but his breath was not tired of life at all. I told him, "You are good and already perfect," because I thought that was his doubt. Laura told him he could go. His skin changed color. His head looked large. We have the same size head. 9, beach again. Specifically Devereaux. I love that X. This is where I learned everything I know about waves. Laura took dirt from beneath his bedroom window and dumped it in the toe of a white sock. She was barefoot in the snow and said some words I forget, collected his body and threw it toward this X we have to know without knowing. 10, salt. Salt on my lenses, salt on my keys, tongue part on me. Salted years of saltfish, ocean, funeral, pardon, parting, bird, oh part on me.
Thank you so much, Tess. Our next performer is Candy Store. Fabulous. Candy Store is a multidisciplinary artist, poet, and performer.
Thanks, everyone. There's like a cute little post-it on the lectern here. Please read close into mic. Freak Hour rules. Thanks for everyone who's still here. I feel like a few readers might have gone over 3 minutes, but who's counting? Thank you, Kyle, for asking me to read. Thank you, Poetry Project, the staff, all the volunteers, everyone who's making this happen. It's incredible. This is the last poem I wrote in 2023 that I'm going to share with you. It's called Poetry Project Poem. It might be a placeholder, but because of the laugh, maybe we'll keep it. I don't know. Okay, Poetry Project Poem. Walking through the National AIDS Memorial Grove with Jarrett stopping to admire a rock dedicated to the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. We're both crying, overwhelmed by so many names carved into stones, grottos, benches. Then a worrisome, high-pitched stammering descends, a small girl careening down the north side path. Her training wheels lift and rattle. Her father is useless, running 3 feet behind. Her mother yelling out her name. We watch, rapt. She never says help, picking up speed, just loud doubt, riding out the decline. I try to make my stare steady her little handlebars. Momentum finds its natural halt. We breathe again. A gust of wind from fluttering angel wings brushes the hair from my face. No dead fag would have let her fall, not in the National AIDS Memorial Grove. I think we are lucky to be able to honor the dead through the living. The rock we were looking at, dedicated to the sisters, says, in memory of every none of the above. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Candy Store. I would like at this point for us all to give it up for the sound table and our amazing staff who have been just doing wonders, just working miracles all day in many rooms in this very old church. Thank you all so much. Our next reader, Lena Pervez-Afridi. There you are. Hi. Lena Pervez-Afridi writes about cities.
All right. Thank you, Kay. Thank you, Poetry Project. And thank you to everyone who's still here. Let me just start by saying what we know, which is that Palestine will be free. Palestine will be free. We live in the belly of the empire, but there is another New York, and you might recognize it, you might remember it, and that's what this is about. In the newspaper, I read lamentations about a New York that has disappeared. This is an article in a physical copy of the newspaper, and I hear those have disappeared too. I'm sitting in my bedroom where I like to perch on the windowsill and watch the birds in the tree outside, stare at the daylight catching the raindrops on the slick leaves, and trace their journey down the lines of the midribs and lateral veins. I sit here for hours and empty my brain when I have the hours to spare, and say their colors aloud to myself as they spin and dance their way to the sidewalk, to end their short lives stuck to the bottom of a shoe with gum or dog shit. I like to stay in this very spot and smell the smell of cigarettes being smoked on the front stoop of my building. I love the smell of someone smoking cigarettes outside while I'm inside. It makes me feel close to them without actually having to be close to them. But I hear that cigarettes are disappearing too. Sometimes the curtains stir in the wind and close themselves in on me, and I am momentarily draped in fabric, and I like to feel it on my face for a second. As a child, I often hid from everyone and everything, teachers, parents, my few friends, my many bullies, my incorrect desires, the mailman, the lunch lady, the grinding of my growing bones, sometimes even no one. For a moment, I remember that feeling of existing and not, seeing without being seen. I keep the fabric over my face and listen to my neighbors fighting on their way in, the clang of the poorly constructed tin wheelchair ramp trembling under the weight of stomping footsteps. The front door slams, and I'm confident that it was just a punctuation in another of their many frequent arguments. Over time, I have learned to tell the difference between an angry slam like this one and the regular everyday bang the front door makes any time anyone enters or leaves, its whining hinges declaring the ache of company coming and going. I go back to my looking and watch the cars pass by, one making a sharp turn, getting stuck at a red light, and blocking a full bus from making its way to what I know is its final stop. It beeps and beeps and beeps in indignation, and the car behind it beeps and beeps in impatience, and the car that's stuck at the light beeps and beeps a defense, until all I can hear is the horns ringing in my ears. I don't mind though, because I fall asleep to the sound most nights. They really should put another stop sign there. At night, I hear the horn of the bus and the sound of my neighbor in the building across the courtyard screaming. I've never seen him, but I hear him every night at 12 a.m. He screams and yelps, and I can tell he's not afraid. He's just releasing something I know, but could not possibly vocalize. Maybe about how all our rents were going up, or how our shared slumlord landlord would say he was fixing the black mold in the bathroom, but would just paint over it when he bothered to respond at all. Once in a while, some weary person trying to get to sleep before or after a long shift would yell at him out the window to shut up, but he would just yelp back in response. And besides, everyone had grown accustomed to him, our neighbor, him and his familiar screams. Maybe he's battling ceaseless stomach cramps after drinking some expired milk from our grocery store, which was always selling expired things, and really it was your fault if you bought them without looking if you lived here long enough. Or maybe he was remembering something embarrassing he had done on the dance floor of the secret gay bar in the back of what was once a Chinese restaurant. But I feel like I would have seen him there past the thick cigarette smoke that always made me think that this was the place where I would die, in a fire in a mirror-paneled room in the back of a crowded, abandoned Chinese restaurant. I would have seen him there, and we would have locked eyes, and I would have immediately known he was the screamer, and I'd tell him, I fall asleep to you every night. One night, I got in bed early, and I woke up with a start a little after 12:30. I couldn't get back to sleep, so I went to my perch and wondered why I was awake, struggling to reach back into my psyche and unearth whatever nightmare had woken me. In the morning, I realized the night had been silent. I moved the next year. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lena. I'm thinking, listening to your reading that, and the others, that one of the themes of this hour, in addition to being what somebody else called the Writers Against the War on Gaza hour, not how we designed it just happened that way. Would you believe? One of the themes of this reading is surprise intimacies, and that is something that I'm sitting with. Our next reader is, and next to last reader in this hour is Elena Come del Junco. Elena Come del Junco is a writer and academic in New York and Connecticut. Please give it up for Elena.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Hi. First of all, I want you to come on, get over here. You better what? You don't want to? What I want is, I want you to start stroking, to stroke. Stroke it right there, harder. Keep pressing deeper, get right in there, just like that. Keep stroking my sunburn. What's the matter? Now I want, up? What's the matter? Now I want you to start putting some pressure on it. On my back, a little higher, just over to the right. No, don't massage it. I'm not trying to get you to get rid of the pain. If I wanted that, I'd go to physio. I just want to feel how it feels, your knee. You can put some weight. Yeah, now is good, like that. That's good. I'm lying face down on the bed, doors open when you get here. I want you to press your fingers into my bruise. What do you mean, what bruise? It's there. Look, see? No, well, press harder anyway. Next time you'll know where it comes from. I want you to rub your tongue against the roof of my mouth, rub it hard, right where I got burned taking a 2 large spoonful of the soup you made last night, right there in my mouth. Come on, do it, yes. Now, just like that. Pick at my scab, don't worry, you'll put some vitamin E on it later. No, I don't want a scar either. I'm also not into blood. I don't even like pain. Just keep pressing my bruise. Press it, push it. I want you to twist my hangnail right there on the inside edge of my right thumb. It's yours. I even bought some of that bitter nail polish you put on kids' nails, which I didn't know they still made, so I could save it for you. The point of sticking your fingers down my throat is decidedly not to throw up. More importantly, in fact, it's not, or only incidentally, a sex thing, as one might call it, either. Again, how many times do I have to tell you that I'm not into whatever it is people call pain? No, I don't. I do not want you to whip me or thwack me with a cricket bat, even one with a little heart cut out of it so that the negative space produces a patch of unreddened skin after you're done. Get it? It's not even a sex thing. It's just that I really want you to grind the canker sore I got on the tip of my tongue from being underslept, really grind it into the sharp point of your canine, my left one, no other left. Yeah, that's the one, that one. Keep going. Anyway, you're getting into it, aren't you? That's kind of weird. You're kind of a little freak. You want to jab your pinky nail into the cut I got about a third of the way down from the tip of my thumb while I was cooking you dinner the other night, chopping the garlic right into my hand. Yeah, I know it's dangerous. You told me at the time. But you had also told me your mother doesn't use a chopping board and I wouldn't be caught dead with a garlic press. Anyway, I really want you to rub it against my raw flesh so that it makes that burning, stinging, warm garlic feeling. You don't want to feel everything? I can't remember what the flavor was that B said he didn't like, even though otherwise he couldn't think of a taste that isn't interesting. Papaya to my mind is disgusting, but I can't help not wanting to give you up. Keep me in bed after I wake up. I really need to get up to pee. That is my bladder is so full it's getting painful, or not far from getting there at least. I want you to see how long I can last. Turn me over to make me put pressure on your bladder. I mean, you put pressure on my bladder. Challenge me to fall back asleep so that you can check how well I live up to the Freudian analysis of urinary stimulus dreams. I want you to keep stroking my sunburn. I bought the lowest SPF just for you. Actually, no SPF at all. It's just mineral oil with some coconut scent. Next time, though, I'll just take it raw, get nice and dried out. Not enough to peel, but at least get that sun itch so you know you're going to need to really stroke it after. I'll probably go back. Tomorrow, you can press the top of my foot against my sandal strap after it gets full of sand. Rub it back and forth, get all the grains really ground in. Not enough to break the skin. Just enough to really feel the grit all the way in there as deep as you can. Yeah, come on, force me to keep dreaming. Don't close my eyes off. Don't turn away. Don't turn off the screen. Don't. Thank you. Free Palestine. Good night.
Elena. We have one more reader in this hour. Before I turn it over to her, I want us to all to give a big thank you to Carlos from the church, who has been taking out the trash and fixed the toilet and just is a mensch and a rock star. Thank you so much, Carlos. Thank you also to, yes, absolutely. Thank you also to our volunteers. We absolutely could not do it without you. Everyone who's done anything today, basically. Just yeah, give it up. Okay, finally. Final star in Freak Hour. Please give it up for Jasmine Sanders. The funniest bitch in New York. Sorry, I didn't mean it. Jasmine Sanders is a writer from Chicago.
Hello. I'm going to read what is allegedly a poem. A friend asks me, mid-November, when will I write something? I tell her the truth. I have written enough, I said. There's nothing new to write. And she says, what do you mean? I said what I said. There's nothing to write. She shreds this, rightfully. I tell her that I have one topic, and it has been duly plumbed, wrung dry. There are no more words, no more letters. I have nothing else to say on my eternal topic. And she says, yes, I know your one topic, your mother. And I say, you know my one topic. And she says, yes. And I say, how dare you say that to me? My one topic, my only topic, has always been prison. My first essay was about my mother's loss of custody. And she says to me, I've read all of your work. And I said, you've read all of my work. And she says, I've read everything you wrote since 2017. And I said, you didn't read the essay I wrote in 2017? What did you think it was about if you read it? And she says, that was an essay where you wrote about memorial t-shirts. And I said, I wrote about those t-shirts on my way to visit my cousin in jail, my cousin for whom I bought a t-shirt because he could not attend the funeral. And she says, I remember your other essay. I remember the essay about your mother's coats. And I said, yes, my mother's coats, the coats that she got working a job which paid her minimum wages because of her life in jail, because she'd had a criminal background, because she worked at a grocery store. I wrote about her coats. I wrote about the need to see her as beautiful and why I hadn't. Once I asked my mother, in fact, I said, will you tell me what prison was like? And she says, why do you think you'd understand? And I say to my friend, why do you think you'd understand? And she says, I didn't know. And I say, how could you? And she says, I'm sorry. And I say, of course you are. And I say, I in fact resent this misrecognition. The kitchen warps and slides, and I am no longer in Crown Heights. And she says, I don't know what it is that you want me to say. And I say, I want you to say that you knew what my one topic was. It has been duly plumbed. There's nothing left for me to say. And by now, this argument has dragged on for an hour. And I don't know how to tell her that 93% of my arguments begin because I suspect people around me don't hate the police enough. And she says to me, I don't know what you need me to say to that. I don't know why you need me to know that. I think that you should write. And I said, have you read the letter of Shadi Baker, Shakri Abu Baker? Do you know the 12-year-old who was imprisoned and who wrote to his mother, I want to tell you to keep your head high in the sky, just like palm trees, never shaken by winds nor earthquake. And I want you to be proud because what I am going through is a test from God. This was written by a 12-year-old. And she says, I'm sorry. And I say, have you ever read the letter of Khalida Jarrar, whose daughter died while she was in prison, where she says, I am sorry, I am in so much pain only because I miss you. From the depths of my agony, I reached out and embraced the sky of our homeland through the window of my prison cell in Damon prison. Haifa, worry not, my child. And she says to me, I'm sorry. And I say, I resent this misrecognition, and I also cannot blame you for it. This was a reminder for clarity, for the need to terrify if you are going to write, for a refusal of ambiguity, a reminder that I need to be clearer and I do need to write. And she said, you need to write. And I said, I will write when I can make my pen like a knife. And she says, I'm sorry. And I say, this was my responsibility too. And I ask her, do you remember the letter from Mutulu Shakur when Tupac died in prison, where he says, there's so much I needed to say, so much I wanted to say, many conversations between us within the ether, whenever, wherever, the pain that you have inflicted on me, on my soul. And she says, you read that letter at your last reading. And I said, so you know that my one topic is prison. And she says, I understand. And I say, I agree with you. I need to start back writing. And I need to write better, and I need to not have my intentions be this unclear. Free Palestine.
Thank you, Jasmine. That was so moving. And thank you to all our readers in this hour. Thank you to all of you.